Across the country via the Schrock desk, this is Compute This.
Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. 4 awesome locations to help you out when your technology is on the fritz or not doing what you need it to do. And more popular than ever is our Schrock desk option. Raj and I were talking before the show got started here about the gas prices. I mean, it is literally insane. You know, my family just got back from a trip to Yellowstone. And, as we drove across, Nebraska and into Wyoming, the gas prices, gas is more expensive in Wyoming than in Nebraska, we would have thought. We were paying over $5 a gallon in Wyoming a week ago. Now we're paying that in Nebraska. It just takes a little longer to get here, I guess. I don't know, maybe it costs more to haul the fuel up the mountain. That could be. So anyway, it's good to be back in the chair, guys. It's good to be back in the studio. I hate running recorded shows, and there was a program note, I believe one of the pre-recorded shows that is supposed to be what we call in the industry an evergreen show. Well, it ain't so evergreen, right? It made a reference to semantic endpoint. So, I mean, that means that evergreen show, it was pretty green for a 3-4-year-old show. I mean, it just had one thing that was changed in the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, we don't ask you guys to do a lot. I mean, we don't change it up. We don't get wild. We stay with what works, right? Well, the only thing we've changed in the last 3 to 4 years is semantic endpoint got sold to Broadcom, and you can hear the toilet flushing in the background as the sale went through. And so we switched everyone to Sophos, and we haven't had a single customer get infected with a virus since. In fact, Sophos saved my mom. See, my mom didn't know I was back in town. I got back a couple days early. I was like, hey, no one will know I'm back. I'll just have a couple days to reacclimate and rest a little bit from the trip. So I end up working in Papillion because, we got a bunch of people out sick by myself for 15 hours the first 2 days I'm back. So I'm like, okay, well, that's what we do. And, my mom calls the service center. And I'm like, Mom? And she's like, oh, you're back from the wilderness. And I'm like, yeah, what's going on, Mom? You're calling the shop. I have a cell phone, right? And she says, oh, well, I've got this stupid Wave browser thing, and I can't get out of it. Well, of course, I have her set up on the Schrock desk, so I connect to her computer and take a look at what's going on. And she had become infected with a piece, or not. This is where the lines get gray. She has Sophos, right? So she didn't get a virus infection, but she got what's called a potentially unwanted program on her computer. And she clicked on a link somewhere, installed something. She thought she was installing something else, or maybe it got installed along with something else. You guys know how it goes. You've been around the block a few times. The Wave browser had set itself up as the default browser on the computer. And every time the Wave browser opened, it was trying to allow someone to remotely connect to her computer. As you might remember, right before we left, we made the decision to turn on Sophos's remote access protection technology. We had really hesitated to turn that on. Primarily, what it does is it prevents you from remotely connecting to. It prevents anyone from remotely connecting to your computer. And of course, we can put an exemption in for the Schrock desk. So on the surface, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't look like shady at all, right? Like, no one else can remote into your computer when we're protecting it except for us. So you better never leave. Never. No one else can help. No one can help you now. It seems kind of shady, right? But then you have situations like with my mom where Sophos, she was frustrated because every time she clicked on a link in an email to look at an ad or something else, it would open in the Wave browser. Someone would try to remote into her computer, and Sophos would kill it. And so to her impression, every time she clicked a link, it would open and crash, and she didn't know what was going on. Well, we got rid of the Wave browser, set her back up on Edge for default because that's what she prefers, and then everything was right with the world. But if she wouldn't have had Sophos on the computer with that remote protection software engaged, she would have been infected. She would have had some guy from India or Iran or North Korea or whatever remoting into her computer, doing Lord knows what, probably a ransomware infection, and then she would have been, up a creek without a paddle. So it saved her biscuits, even though I was in the wilderness, as you say. Number to join us on the program today, 888-250-2091. As I mentioned, the last couple of weeks were pre-recorded, so it's good to be back. But with that change of scenery and change of pace, I'm all refreshed now. I have all these ideas, right? Whenever I go on vacation, it's like the good idea fairy visits me. And, that can be good or bad. If you're in the military, you know about the good idea fairy. It's like, But a lot of these ideas are things that probably things we should have been doing a long time ago. But when you're in the day-to-day mundane, plodding through what you do every day, you do the same thing every day. You get up at the same time, you get your coffee, you go to work, you process this, you do that. You don't sometimes pop your head up to see what else could be done out there. And so when I got back, I just decided to do a quick search to see, because I noticed that year over year, our subscriptions for Sophos and Secure Updater for that matter were flat. Now that didn't make a lot of sense to me because, we get 5 or 6 new customers a day in the service centers. Now, not all of them buy Sophos, not all of them buy Secure Updater. They should, but it's a free country for the most part. You can buy what you want to buy. But we should have a couple sales every day at least, right? So why is it year over year we are flat on our subscriptions? Well, then I went and checked the service portal. So basically, the subscription portal is where we charge customers for the work we're doing, and the service portal is where their Sophos connects. And we found that we have 1,000 customers that are currently receiving Sophos antivirus protection from us, but we are not collecting subscription money from. Well, how does that happen? So, I call my staff, the guys that's supposed to manage this, and he says, well, here's the deal. Every month we have some people who don't renew for some reason. Their credit card on file expires, so the auto renew doesn't work. We call them, we reach out, they don't call us back. At the end of the month, what am I supposed to do with those people? He goes, I don't want to kill their antivirus, right? If it was due on the 30th and it's the 1st of the next month, and you're like, well, sorry, you didn't pay, you're done. Click. He goes, that's a lot of work because we have to do a Schrock desk, we have to get it reinstalled. It's a lot of work to get that re-enabled again if the customer even notices their antivirus disappears. And is it really right for us when a customer chooses us to protect them to kill their service without some kind of award? It's like cutting off someone's power when they're a day late on the power bill in the middle of a heat wave. Is that right? Is that something that's morally acceptable? And, for the most part, I agreed with him. But then I made the point that, you can't just forget about those people, though, month after month after month. We have to, at some point, make the decision to end service. But when I started digging into the numbers, I found most of the people that had expired subscriptions had an expired credit card on file, and that's why their auto renewal didn't work, or they had a fraud alert, or something happened along the way, right? And they had another card on file because they had called in to put a different card on file. But our system won't automatically switch between the payment methods. So we changed the system because we build our own system. So I call Alfonso. I'm like, Alfonso, I need you to do this. I need you to switch it between the payment methods so that it'll try any available payment method on file. So as a result, there have been close to 1,000 transactions over the last, 3 days that you may have noticed a charge from Schrock Innovations on your credit card. The reason for that charge at a time you might not expect it is because you have a service that we're offering that we have not interrupted service on, but you never paid for. And so if it was a situation where you didn't want the service anymore and that's why you didn't call us back, it wasn't just life or whatever, but if you didn't want the service anymore, of course, if you call us and let us know, we will end the service and refund the subscription price to you. With that said, I just wanted to make sure I got on the radio at least and said, hey, if you notice a weird charge, that's what's going on. I'm trying to give my guys in the service centers and my gals a little air cover because we're going to get calls from people that are like, hey, what is this $30 charge on my credit card from Schrock Innovations? It's your Secure Updater renewal that was supposed to happen in January but never did. But we kept providing service because we didn't want to cut you off from your security because it's not really the moral thing to do, right? But, of course, there are going to be some people that don't have a card on file. There are going to be some people that we've tried to call, and we can't get a hold of you. If you think you have Sophos on your computer, in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, there's a little Sophos icon by the clock. If that icon disappears, if that icon is not present, if, for whatever reason, your Microsoft Windows pops up and says, your antivirus software is gone, you need to install some, give us a call at Schrock. You're probably one of the people that fell through the cracks. Now, how does this happen? Well, customers sometimes get rid of their computers and they don't tell us. Imagine that. I'm sure that's that you got a new computer, you didn't get it from Schrock. So the first thing on your mind was to call the company you didn't buy it from and say, hey, I bought something somewhere else because I didn't want to buy your stuff. That's the first thing on everybody's list, right? So customers don't call us when they get like a new HP, for example. Maybe they saw a great deal, they decided to buy it. Maybe their kids bought them one. I don't know. But you get a new computer, we can move your subscriptions from the old computer to the new computer for free. And we don't give you a hard time about it. You're still a customer. You still have subscriptions with us. Why would we treat you poorly? One of the things that amazed me, and we'll talk. I got a lot to talk about during the aftershock today from the trip to Yellowstone. But one of the things that amazed me was, as you went further west and you got closer to Wyoming, you know what I didn't see? Help wanted signs. None of the restaurants. None of the little boutique shops. None of the entertainment or tourist traps. Some of them were actually still closed for the season when their season starts in June. We were definitely at the very start of the season, but some of the shops weren't open. They didn't say why they weren't open. Some of them, like the old-timey photo place in Grand Tetons, was bankrupt. Like they were gone. There was a realtor lock on the door and they were up. All the costumes and everything were still in there. I'm like, what happened to the guy? Like he's disappeared? I don't know. But it just shocked me that there weren't any help wanted signs. Everybody seemed to be, gainfully employed and everything was ticking along. And it made me think back, in Nebraska and in Iowa. Nebraska actually has the lowest unemployment rate in the nation. Iowa's not too far behind. I think you guys are like 2 or 3, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe 4. I don't know where Wyoming falls in the unemployment charts, but it just made me realize that in Nebraska and in Iowa, for a big extent of it, we're insulated from a lot of the stuff that's happening around us. A lot of the stuff that's happening doesn't hit here as quickly, so we get a little bit of a heads up because other people have it first and it gets in the national news and we hear about it. Like $8 a gallon gas in California. That's a real thing. You hear about these things first, and you hear about jobs being cut, and you hear about slowing job market and slowing housing market, but it hasn't quite hit here yet. But it always manages to filter through. Always, not as severe as other places, but it filters through. So it's just one of those things to keep in mind. As I traveled across a third of a continent to go to Yellowstone and back, I saw some things, and I'll talk about some of those during the aftershock that we do here at the end of the program. So on the show today, I wanted to make sure I mentioned about the change in policy on the renewals for subscriptions. Now, this only applies to security subscriptions. So if you have a Schrock Desk subscription, we're not going to switch your payment method unless you tell us to. But when it comes to the security of your computer, that's different. We're going to switch the payment methods if we have a different one on file that's valid that will work for your subscription. Good news, though. Microsoft is going to save you some money this year because once Windows 11 was released, they switched their twice annual upgrade model, the safe upgrade thing that we sell every spring. This spring last year, you were buying safe upgrade for $60 because there was a big update for Windows coming out. Well, there's only going to be one big update for Windows annually now, and it's going to be in the fall probably because we haven't heard anything about it now. And there's still I'm in the beta channel, so I get the beta builds, and they're still modifying every other day. I get an update, so they're still modifying, they're still improving everything. So it's definitely not ready for prime time. So the good news there is Microsoft is saving you $60 a year on Safe Upgrade by only releasing one major update this year instead of 2. There will be a major update both for Windows 10 and Windows 11 in the fall, and we're currently working on tweaking our safe upgrade procedures to make sure we account for the 2 different updates. But pretty much anybody with a computer is going to have an update to do this fall, and we're going to keep you abreast of the situation. But, with everyone telling you about how everything's going to cost you more in life now, I thought it'd be nice to bring you a message of something that was going to cost a little less, just a little. $60 is $60. That's almost a half a tank of gas. Hey. 888-250-2091. Also coming up on the program, if you use Microsoft Office, have you ever stopped to wonder what version of Office you're using? This is something, one of the things I realized that they stuck me on a bench for 15 hours last week, and I realized that, while my management skills have improved dramatically, my actual doing stuff skills little rusty. So yeah, I'm going to have to get a little more bench time in so I maintain my my bench proficiency. I got the job done, but it wasn't as elegant as some of the younger guys. Let's put it that way. But one of the things that I noticed on the bench were people having issues with Microsoft Office, and they were running versions of Office that were ridiculously outdated. So we're going to talk about what versions of Office are end of life and a threat to you right now. You could be running Microsoft Office and actually endangering your computer in a way that Sophos can't protect you from, that Secure Updater can't protect you from, that your Microsoft updates can't protect you from, just because you're using an end-of-life product that has known vulnerabilities that will never be patched. So we're going to tell you about that so you can check that out. Also, the importance of modular desktops and solid-state laptops. One of the things that occurred to me when I was working the bench in there also, it was just a reminder how absolutely hosed people are when they want to upgrade to Windows 11 and they have a store-bought computer. Just can't do it. You just can't do it. But every single person on my bench that I came across that had a modular computer, some of them didn't even need a new motherboard. They just needed a new chip. And they could run Windows 11. They could get another 5-6 years out of their computer. It's been a while since I sat down and literally explained the differences between what makes Schrock's computers genuinely different than everything else you can buy out there. So I thought I'd take 5 minutes sometime in the program here to go over that. So we'll do that during the show. Also, if you have an Android device, if you have a smartphone from Samsung, not an iPhone basically, there's a huge security update that you're going to need. We're going to tell you all about that on the program as well as taking your calls, of course. 888-250-2091. One lucky caller will get a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate that you can use in the service center for anything you want. By the way, if you have a credit on account, if you have a $25 gift certificate on account, and we go to renew your subscription, we'll automatically apply that first. 888-250-2091. More coming up next on Compute This.
Now you can configure and purchase laptops, desktops, tablets, and more, all at the new SchrockInnovations.com. Check out our specials for one-of-a-kind discounts and deals. In 1798, Eli Whitney's Connecticut Musket Factory was the first business in North America to use replaceable parts in a firearm. Before Eli's factory, if your musket broke, you had to send it away to an expert gunsmith for repairs, or just toss it and buy a new musket. Technology manufacturing has come a long way since the 18th century, but you wouldn't know it by looking at today's big box store computers. Dell, HP, Sony, and other manufacturers continue to take away your freedom to upgrade and repair your computer by eliminating expansion and repair options. Some desktops are even powered by a tiny laptop adapter. Schrock Innovations believes in Eli Whitney's idea of interchangeable and replaceable components, and that's why our custom-built modular computers last longer and cost less to repair than computers you see at big box stores. Ask your friends and family how often they replace their box store computers, and they'll probably tell you every couple of years. And what do they do with the old machines? They just get thrown out like broken muskets. Imagine a place where your computer's problems can be fixed quickly and inexpensively. Imagine keeping your computer for 6 years or more. You are imagining the kind of computers we build every day at Schrock Innovations. Our modular systems last longer, perform faster, and cost less over the long term than anything you can buy at a big box store. While the talented technicians at Schrock Innovations can't make you a musket even if they tried, our commitment to the freedom offered by modular computers is the modern-day extension of Eli's innovative musket factory. We think Eli Whitney would be proud, and you can take pride in owning a small piece of American innovation, the modular computer from Schrock Innovations. Compute This Pro Tip 843. Of all computer failures, the scariest and most expensive is the hard drive. But there are some steps you can take to save money and save your data before it's too late. Detecting failures early is important, so install a free utility like Drive Advisor from driveadvisor.com to monitor your hard drive's health and receive warnings when there's a problem. But most of all, hard drive failures happen slowly, so early detection is key to reducing the repair bill. Second, if your hard drive makes any unusual noises, immediately turn off your computer and do not turn it on again. These issues are physical problems, and the more you try to use it, the worse the damage becomes. Remember that most computer repair shops do not have the specialized equipment needed to recover data from a failed drive. Never open your drive or allow anyone else to do so. Opened drives always cost more to recover. Schrock does not charge for data recovery evaluations and quotes, so let the local pros look at your drive before you make any recovery decisions. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back in. You're listening to Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. As I mentioned earlier, we have 4 locations. The original location is in Lincoln, just south of 27th. Wow, that's a flashback. Just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. We moved about 5 years ago. Gee, you would think I'd know the address by now. Sorry, first show back from vacation. Cut me some slack. But 14th and Pine Lake Road, just a couple blocks south there. In Omaha, 168th and Burke. Go to the Village Point Mall, turn around. We're right across the street there. You'll see us. Also in Papillion, in Midlands Place Shopping Center at 84th and Highway 370. And the newest Schrock Innovations in West Des Moines, Iowa, 9500 University Avenue. All of the service centers are available to help you out when you need something done. You can come into the service center, pick up. We offer free pickup and free drop off. So if fuel prices are a concern and you don't want to waste the fuel, coming and going, we have really, really, really small cars. So they have really, really, really walnut sized gas tanks. And it still costs like $50 to fill them up. But anyway, we will drive to you and pick up the computer and bring it back and then drop it off again for you. There's no charge for that. Also, we do offer services over our Schrock desk. A lot of people think you have to be a member to use the Schrock desk. Of course, if you're a member, it costs $30 a month. You get unlimited tech support. So you can call for anything, anytime. We help you out. Doesn't have to be broken. It could just be a question about how something works. We'll help you out with it. Also, you get half off all of your labor services. So anytime you need a repair or an upgrade, if you're going to get Windows 11, it would probably be a good idea to become a Schrock Desk subscriber first. You get a fat discount. And then you get the support too, and it's nice. The other thing, though, is we can do individual Schrock Desk sessions. So let's say you're not a subscriber and you have a problem. You can call us, and my guys are trained. If it's something that they can solve for you over the phone in 2 minutes or less, they're just going to solve the problem. They're going to talk you through it on the phone and just solve it. Because the logic here is if we treat you right and we show people that we're competent, especially new people who call in, and we help them out. Like we have guys that come into the service center. I'm building my computer and I need a screw. They didn't give me a screw for the hard drive. And you go online to buy them, and they're like $9 for this. And it's like a tiny screw. It's like one of those eyeglass screws. It's like a tiny screw. It's like $9. Well, we got a bucket full of them in here. Thor, how much do you want me to charge this guy for a screw? For real? Just give him the screw. Tell him to write us a good Google review. Give him the screw. So, here's your screw, sir. Oh, what do I owe you? Well, don't worry about it. Do you have any other? Like, don't push it, kid. No, I'm just kidding. So, we try to do right, but one of the things you don't realize about the Schrock Desk is if you need help, you can call us and we can actually do an individual Schrock Desk session for you without the subscription. So that is another way that we're trying to help lower the cost of maintaining your technology in an environment where gas is kind of expensive. All right, so speaking of expensive, you can save $25 by switching to, no, never mind. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program. Ask a question, make a comment. We'll put you in the drawing for the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. All right, so do you use Microsoft Office? Now, Microsoft Office has long been the default Office suite. There have been others along the way. Remember Corel? Yeah, Corel WordPerfect. Yeah, there was that one. Lawyers like that for some reason. They made a really big inroad in the legal community. Lots of lawyers still use WordPerfect. It's still around. You can still get it, but nobody really does. Unless you're a lawyer, then you get it. Microsoft Office, of course, is Microsoft Word. There was the consumer version back in the day, Works, that they got rid of because, it got a little confusing when you couldn't open your documents from one computer to the other. Microsoft gave away Microsoft Word for free for a while on computers. That was Office 2010 Starter Edition. We still have some customers on that. We see that from time to time. 2010, that's 12 years old? So exactly what versions of Office should you run or shouldn't you run? The reason I'm bringing this up is there's an article that I saw about a hacking group that quietly spied on their targets for 10 years. How did they do it? This was a Chinese hacking group that basically infiltrated computers and they just sat there and watched what they did. A lot of these computers were in academia, they were in industry, and they were the personal computers of people who worked in the industries. So in other words, they wanted to see what work you were bringing home with you, what you were doing from your house, what you were researching at home, to try to glean some insight into what you were doing at work, where the security was a little tighter. How did they infect these computers? Infected Microsoft Office documents. And these vulnerabilities that they used to infect these computers, some of them were patched for years But because people don't buy the updated software, okay. When you buy a piece of software, we used to have to explain this back in the day. When you go to the store, you remember when you used to go to the store? And then you pick up a box off the shelf that was full of empty air except for like a CD-ROM in there, right? Maybe there was a little book with it, maybe, or at least a folded over piece of paper. And you spent your, $39.99 or $59.99 at the cash register, and you took the disc home and you put it in your computer and you installed it. You thought you owned that software. You thought because you held it in your hand and you had possession of it that is 9/10 of the law and that is my Microsoft Office. The problem is you never owned it. You owned a license to use it. Do you see the small difference there? Well, now with downloadable software, it's a lot easier to enforce this. Because when you're downloading the software and activating it on an account, they can track it perfectly. It's kind of like central bank digital currencies will allow, the governments of the world to perfectly track everybody's transactions so that they are all taxed appropriately. You know what I mean? So Microsoft is now able to authorize copies of Office. Well, when they go end of life, Microsoft supports Microsoft Office for about 5 years, and then they stop. There are no more patches for it. That's supposed to, it gets everybody in the workplace, all the IT guys, to say, we have to move everyone to Office 2021 now or Microsoft 365 to keep up because otherwise we're constantly out of date. Well, people at home don't do that because they own the software. You know what I mean? I paid for this. I'm going to keep it works fine. I'm going to keep using it. They don't realize that there are vulnerabilities in the software that can be exploited by bad guys that your antivirus can't stop. So if you are running Microsoft Office, the versions are 2003. Yes, there are still some people running Office 03. Microsoft Office 2007 or Microsoft Office 2010. If you're running any of those three versions of Microsoft Office, you need to purchase a new copy of Office. You can still buy it. You can still, quote unquote, own it, but you have to buy a new copy. You're in a huge amount of risk by running those versions of Office. And next year, Office 2013 will be obsolete. So next year, if you're running Office 2013, you'll be in the same boat. So that means the only viable versions of Office that are still out there are 2016, 2019, and 2021. So that if you don't have one of those three versions, if you haven't bought Microsoft Office 2016 to present, you need to buy it now because otherwise you're going to be in a whole world of potential security hurt if you're not already. 888-250-2091. Going to take our bottom of the hour break, but stick with us, guys. I promise when we come back, we've got an important Android update that you need to run if you're running an Android phone. Also, I want to tell you about some of the computers that I saw on the bench and some of the challenges with upgrading them for Windows 11 that I saw and how you can avoid some of those pitfalls coming up next on Compute This.
Today's fragile computers need maintenance more than ever. Your computer needs a maintenance checkup every 6 months to last beyond its 18-month expected lifespan. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff, and that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. Compute This Pro Tip 578. Technology is constantly changing, so how can you tell when the time has come to recycle your old outdated computer and invest in a new one? Experts have rules of thumb and formulas, but Schrock believes the answer is simple. You should replace your old computer when it can no longer do the things you need in a secure way. For example, you should not be using operating systems like Windows XP or Vista because they're no longer maintained by Microsoft and they're not secure. And if your computer cannot run Windows 10, it's probably time to begin saving for a replacement. If your existing computer requires a repair and that cost is 50% or more of the cost of a new computer, it might be time to consider a replacement. But keep in mind, additional costs like data transfers and important software you have to upgrade, like genealogy software or Quicken. And also keep in mind that modern computers are engineered to last 18 months for a normal user. And don't worry, you are considered a normal user. Schrock modular PCs and solid-state laptops are specifically designed to last 4 to 6 years for that same normal user, saving your family money and time. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
I'm Karen McHugh. In New Mexico Saturday, President Biden responded to requests from that state's governor for federal help in battling wildfires.
Governor, let me be clear. We will be here for you in response and recovery for as long as it takes.
The Hermit's Peak wildfire has scorched more than 320,000 acres across the state. There may soon be some changes when it comes to authorizing COVID vaccines.
The U.S. FDA's Vaccine Review Board is meeting 2 days this week, and much of their discussion will revolve around who can be vaccinated against COVID-19 using Moderna's mRNA vaccine product. On Tuesday, they'll discuss its usefulness in children ages 6 to 17, and on Wednesday, they'll discuss children as young as 6 months. There will also be a discussion about using Pfizer's vaccine on infants and young children.
Fox's Evan Brown. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
Becoming mostly sunny as we get to the afternoon with a high around 94. Chance of a shower or thunderstorm late tonight, low 75. And then on Monday, mostly cloudy, becoming sunny and hot with a high of 102. And on Tuesday, it'll be sunny, hot, and windy with a high of 98. I'm Roger Olson.
All righty, folks, we are rolling on. You're listening to Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. Number to join us on the program this morning. If you have a question about your computer, comment about what we're covering on the program, give us a call, 888-250-2091. We did have a request. We are broadcasting live, by the way, on Facebook, facebook.com/Schrock Innovations, broadcasting courtesy of a 2021 holiday special laptop, I might add. Yes, we use our own tech here. But somebody asked, can we get an update on the Freedom Modular program? For those of you who have not heard of Freedom Modular, we are going to introduce an entirely new way of buying and owning a computer called Freedom Modular. The way that this works is you will own nothing and you'll be happy. No, it's kind of like that, but it's not like that. So you can still buy your computer the old-fashioned way and just own it, and you actually own it. It's your computer. It's not a license to use it. Great. That model works great for a lot of people, but some people, it's not so hot. So for example, you hear the ads. You guys are supposed to replace the computers every 18 months or so. That's a standard computer. Modular computers last a lot longer. It's not because the magic computer fairy came down and sprinkled some modular dust on the computer and everything works great. It's because we can upgrade them. So when you get obsoleted, because you're going to get obsoleted in any computer, but the question is, when that happens to you, what do you do about it? How do you get around it? How do you deal with that? Well, if you have an HP or a Dell and you come in for a Windows 11 upgrade and you've got a second-gen Ryzen chip, computer's working fine. Well, I'm sorry, you're only going to be able to use this computer till 2025, and then you will be required to throw it away. Well, who tells me I got to throw my computer away? Well, Microsoft does, because they're not going to give you any security updates. And when Microsoft stops the security updates, Sophos will stop the protection updates. And when that happens, you won't have any security anymore, and you'll be open to everything. Just like if right now, if you're running Windows 7, you are open to everything. If you're running Windows 8, everything. Like you're begging to be hit with a virus. Well, with Freedom Modular, the concept here is, rather than spending the money up front, taking the computer home and owning it until it's dead, then it sits in your basement for a couple of years, then you eventually bring it in like an ultimate upgrade or trade-in or a recycle or whatever you do, you give it to the church, whatever you do with your old computers. Instead of that model, you pay a flat monthly price, right around $30 probably, depending on what build you get, because It's a percentage. So the more fancy computer you get, the higher the monthly payment is, basically. It's not ridiculously higher, but it gets a little higher because it's a percentage of the value of the computer is how we calculate the payment. And you pay that for 3 years. And at the end of 3 years, that computer is then, you have a choice. You can return the computer to Schrock, where we will take it back, and then you get your deposit back. And if you want to buy a new computer, if you want to get into another Freedom Modular deal, you can. If you want to buy a computer, you can. If you want to go somewhere else and get a computer, you can. You're done, right? Or you can choose just to keep going. If the computer's working fine and you're not obsoleted by anything, you can just choose to keep going as long as you want on a month-to-month basis. This model is really good for people on fixed incomes. This model is really good for people who have health concerns. There's no polite way to say this, that lead to life expectancy concerns. I've had that in the past where people come in and you're like, hey, do you want the extended warranty? And they're like, I don't think I'm going to live that long. And then you're like, oh, ha, ha, ha. And they're like, no, I have stage 4 prostate cancer. And you're like, oh, shoot, sorry. Guess you don't need a warranty. So there's no comfortable way to have those conversations, right? But this model works for those people because it allows you to get the technology that you need to use it now and have a flexible payment option that at the end, you don't ever own the computer. But then the beautiful thing about it is because you don't own it, it's our computer. If it breaks, if it stops working, we fix it for you. It's always under warranty. All the thing you have to do is decide if you want security software, basically. Everything else is covered. So if it stops working, whatever, you can just bring it back in. So that's Freedom Modular. We have finished the back end. So in other words, all of the calculations on the backside, as far as what you can put on the computers, what you can't put on the computers, all that is in our system now and programmed up and tested. Now we have to test the front end. So in other words, once we release the program, I want to be able to say, go to our website, click on Freedom Modular, build a computer. It'll tell you the price of the computer, what you're going to pay, what your monthly payment will be, and all that stuff. That's what we're finishing putting the finishing touches on right now. Once that front end development is finished, then you'll be able to go onto the website. If you're on the waiting list right now, you can get on the waiting list. Go to the SchrockInnovations.com, click on computers and shop up there at the top. Go to Freedom Modular, and you can add yourself to the list. But basically, we're going to start at the top of the list and go down the list and say, what computer do you want to do? We're going to build the computer out for you, and let's go. We're kind of interested to see what the decisions that people make about a computer, because it's one thing if I'm telling you it's a $400 difference between an Endeavor and a Venture, and you're like, yeah, maybe I'll get the Endeavor. It's another thing if I tell you this is the computer you're going to have for the next 3 years, and it is $3 a month more to get a Venture. Are you sure you don't want to do that? I think we might end up actually selling a lot heavier computers, if you will. Not physically heavier, but technologically heavier computers. So anyway, that's what Freedom Modular is. That's how it works. And the reason that Freedom Modular works, the reason that we can do this, because why would we want the old junky computers back 3 years after you beat them up? What good is that to us? Well, number one, we can take the parts and sell them on the secondary market. We can sell them on eBay. We can get rid of the parts. That's not a big deal. We're going to keep some of the parts around because some people are going to choose to continue using those computers. And now we have a built-in supply of spare parts to keep those other computers up and running. We got some hanger queens, right? So we can use those to keep the other ones up and running. The third thing is basically the components inside your computer. For example, the motherboard. As I mentioned, I have computers coming in to the bench, people who bought an Endeavor in 2019 before Windows 11 was a fart in the breeze. And they had no idea what was going to happen. We didn't know that Microsoft was going to restrict pretty much all the processors on the planet and not let them run Windows 11. Well, then they come in for a maintenance checkup. Sure enough, they have the A320 motherboard. So that's the right board. They just have a second generation Ryzen chip and they need a third gen chip. All we have to do is switch the chip. The board will run the new chip. That's modular. You bring in the same, like an HP or a Dell or something else, put it on my bench. We can't change the chip for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes the chip is baked into the board. It's one piece. Sometimes it's because the motherboard has been programmed to restrict it, so we can't upgrade it. And they don't make an update available to allow us to upgrade it because they don't want you to upgrade it. They want you to buy a new computer. They don't make money when you upgrade. Sometimes you can't even put memory in them anymore. And that's one of the big benefits of going with a modular computer. When you have a computer built by Schrock, it's not just a custom built computer, because a lot of people say, well, that's just custom built. You can get that anywhere. The parts that we select for our computers are specifically selected. For example, when you buy a computer from us, we don't know what monitor you have at home. Do you have an old VGA monitor? Do you have a DVI monitor? Maybe you've got one of the newer HDMI monitors. We just don't know, right? So when we select a motherboard, one of the requirements that we look for is it has to have all 3 video ports on the back of the computer, because we don't know what you're going to hook up to it. It also has to support 2 monitors. Okay, that knocks a lot of the boards out. It used to be we'd look for a board that was under $60. Now it's under $90 because, yay. Anyway, the long and the short of it is when we pick the parts for these computers, we're picking parts that are going to grow with you, as opposed to parts that are we could probably save $50, $60 per build if we bought the cheaper parts, but we would lose all the upgradability options. And that's what makes us special. That's what means when you come in and you get a Schrock Innovations solid state laptop, people don't realize that you go out to the store and you buy a laptop. A lot of them have solid states now, but what grade of a solid state did you get? Is it Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4? What's the speed rating of the drive? There are Gen 4 solid states that are really great and Gen 4 solid states that are not. And it's weird because Kingston makes absolute junk Gen 3 hard drives, solid states, but Kingston makes the fastest Gen 4 solid state you can buy. It's not Samsung, it's Kingston. Kingston beats Samsung? What? That does not make logical sense. And when people come in and they want us to build something and they're like, I want the Samsung drive. You're like, are you sure you do? Because the Kingston drive is 20% faster and the warranty is the same. Really? Yeah, really. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff you need to know when you're putting together a laptop. That's why when you get the Schrock modular laptop, the solid state laptop, you take it home, you're like, this is really fast. But then somebody else says, I can buy that on Amazon or at Best Buy. I'm going to go buy that same model computer. They get theirs home and it runs like a dog. Well, it's because the memory that we put in, the hard drives that we put in are that fast. 888-250-2091. Kathy, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This today?
I was just wondering, how can I check to make sure that you have my correct credit card?
Great question. Oh, this is good. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. There's the old-fashioned human way where you can pick up the phone and call us in the service center and say, what's the card you have on file for me? And we'll look it up and tell you. The other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that if you have ever done business with us at Schrock, you have a Schrock account. So you can go to SchrockInnovations.com and you can click on the login up in the top right corner, and the username is your email address, and the password, if you set up the password, is whatever you set up. If you didn't set up the password, we just assigned a random password. You have to do a password reset so that you know the password. But then you can log in and you can check the payment methods. So if it's easier to call in, feel free to call in. If you're in the boat, like, hey, I don't want to talk to humans today, then you can just do it online yourself.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, no sweat. Thanks for the call. Appreciate you giving us a call, Kathy. That is an excellent question that I probably should mention more often. A lot of people don't realize that they have a Schrock account, but you do. In fact, we're going to be relying on that Schrock account a lot more because the Schrock account will tell you if you have Sophos assigned to your computers. It'll tell you the subscription status of your Sophos, expired or not. It'll tell you if you have Drive Advisor on your computer, which you should have on your computer, especially if it's a Schrock build. You really should have it. It will tell you what computers you have. One of the challenges we have at Schrock sometimes, longtime customers who have been coming to us for years, they end up with like 15 or 20 devices or assets in their account. All the computers they've had over the years. Well, when they recycle them, either back in the day, we weren't super strict about like logging what we were recycling like we do now. So we might think you still have 20 computers. So, hey, are you still using that old Gateway 2000 giant metal tower? No? Oh, okay. I can mark that as recycled. So you can go through your account and mark computers as recycled. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do there. And we're working on getting that data straightened up and perked up and perfected so that we can eventually launch it in an app for you where you can pick up radio shows. You can do all the stuff from a convenient app rather than maybe jumping on Facebook even. Get the Schrock app, watch the show. You like where I'm going here? Like it. 888-250-2091. Steve, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This?
Yeah, you were talking about the Microsoft Office and what versions are going to be obsolete. I'm trying to figure out what Office I have on here, because when I click that one thing down the bottom left-hand corner and bring them up, it shows the Microsoft Office icons and stuff. But when I click, I can't find out what version it is.
Okay. Do you have one of your Office programs open right now, like Word or something like that?
Oh, I can open it there.
Yeah, open up Microsoft Word real quick.
Oh, okay. I see.
And then once you have it open, let me know it's popped up.
It popped up 2019, so I guess I'm okay.
Yep, you're good to go for a little while yet. You're only one version behind the current version, so you're good to go for another few years.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm still not crazy about the new Windows 11, all that stuff. And I was so used to the other, and now it's hard for me to navigate sometimes. So.
Yeah, it's very similar and slightly different, and they've done a good job of trying to blend the different and the similar together. But the problem that comes here is the longer that you wait to migrate to Windows 11, the harder it's going to be. In the next version of Windows 11, they're going to introduce a new feature called Finder, if that's a Mac term. The file, when you can click on the file folder to open up your directory tree to look at like all your drives and everything. And then you also might be familiar with, you can open up your web browser and you can have tabs for different web pages.
Yeah.
Well, now you'll be able to have tabs in the File Explorer.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, like the small changes that come over time add up to be more. So if you jump in with 2 feet and you get wet and you get wet and sandy, you can figure it all out. And then the changes are minor. You can roll with them because they've been doing that to you with Windows 10 for years. The Windows 10 version that you have now is nowhere near the Windows 10 version that came out in 2015. But
I have Windows 11, so
yeah, yep. So and then that's the thing. If you get Windows 11 and you're like, you know what, I'm just not used to this. I'm not real comfortable with it. I don't know where everything is at. You can just join the Schrock desk for a few months. Then when you have questions, you can call. It's a month-to-month deal. It's not like where you're committed like a health club or anything. So you can. You can quit anytime you want, but then once you get comfortable with Windows 11, you can end the subscription if you don't need it. But in the meantime, it can be really helpful when you're trying to do things like, hey, where did the settings go? Like, where are the control panels at now? Or how do I do this, or how do I do that, or how do I set a default program? I want my Word documents to open in Word, not LibreOffice. How do I do that? Well, that's what the Schrock desk is for. We can help you out with that. Thank you for the call, Steve. We've got you in the drawing as well for the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. We got to take our final break here, guys. It'll be a quick one. And when we come back, an important security update for your Android device. We're going to tell you about it coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations can't teleport technicians to you, but online help is only a click away with the Schrock Desk. Subscribe today and get unlimited help whenever you need it.
Remember the good old days when virus detection worked like Where's Waldo? Spot the virus in the striped shirt and you win. Today's infections are changing hourly to avoid detection and use social engineering to trick you into making mistakes. Using yesterday's security to defend against today's threats is like using leeches to stop an infection. It just doesn't work. We recommend Sophos Intercept X antivirus backed by Schrock's virus-free guarantee. Sophos uses the power of AI to detect the patterns of a virus attack and responds with Schrock's custom actions that stop it fast. With Sophos on your PC, Mac, Android, or iOS device, you get the state-of-the-art protection you need to defend against the most advanced attacks out there. In fact, if your device gets a virus while running Sophos antivirus, Schrock will remove it for free, guaranteed. It hasn't happened yet, and we intend to keep it that way. Ditch your dad's antivirus and keep your device, data, and identities safe with Sophos and Schrock Innovations.
Compute This Pro Tip 178. Those little life-saving surge protector strips are vital to your computer's health and should be used whenever possible, even for laptops. As computers get smaller and more powerful, they're also becoming more sensitive to dirty power, and your power is a lot dirtier than you might think. Even if you have a whole home surge protection, most power surges are generated within your own home. If you've ever vacuumed and seen the lights get dimmer and brighter, you created a surge. Surge protectors can only absorb so much energy measured in joules. When that capacity is exhausted, your surge protector becomes a glorified extension cord and needs to be replaced. You should always look for surge protectors that give audible alerts when they're no longer able to protect your equipment. Schrock recommends these because the lights on most strips are just power lights and they don't tell you when it's time to replace the unit. If in doubt, replace your surge protectors annually to keep your expensive TVs, computers, and other electronic equipment safe. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back in. Final segment of the program. You're listening to Compute This. My name's Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. Back from vacation and ready to kick some tail. Got into the service center and let's just say I dropped some emails. Yeah. Poor Alfonso was like, Thor. Like, remember the last performance review when you told me the number that you needed to stay in your job? And after I picked my jaw up off the table, and I gave you that number, I told you the caveat is you're not allowed to sleep anymore. You thought I was joking. Yeah, I'm not joking. And so one of the things that was a little squirrely in our data were warranty expirations. And so we ran some scripts to clean those up to make sure that if you have a Schrock computer, that your warranty status is accurately reflected in your Schrock account for each asset or each computer you have. Why is this important? You guys have heard me talk about extended warranties before. Ed J from the Papillion Service Center, he feeds my staff. Literally, that man is a saint. Every time he comes in, he's got a gift card or a box of food of some sort. Like, not just a little. Like, the other day, he brought us a Jimmy John's gift card, and one of the guys ended up going to Jimmy John's for lunch, and he came back and he says, "There's $45 on this gift card." He's like, "That's insane." And so, we really like Ed. He's a good guy. He's a funny guy, too. And so I was shocked when his name came up on my expiring warranty report saying that his Schrock modular computer had an expired warranty. Ed doesn't let anything expire. So that means Ed didn't know it was expiring. And we call on extended warranties. And so he wasn't getting our calls because he's on the National Do Not Call Registry. He doesn't get our automated calls because we're not allowed to automatically call people who are on the registry. So we have to manually call those people or remind them. And so if you have a Schrock account or if you have access to your Schrock account, you can pop in there and you can check the warranty status of your own computer. But we're going to be going through and making sure that we're sending out more notifications on warranty status because our warranties are refundable. So if you don't renew them, you just end up with a credit on your account you may not even know is there, which you can check in your Schrock account, by the way. And if you do know it's there, you can use it. But chances are you'd probably rather have the warranty. And you can just use the credit to buy another year of warranty. And it's a flip. It's free, basically. And it's to keep you under warranty at all times so that when you have a problem, because everyone has a problem at some point with their tech. Everybody does. Even me. At some point, you have a problem. Well, unlike me, I can't, I can just fix it. Sometimes you can't. Well, if you have a warranty, you just bring it in and fix it. An hour of labor costs $125. So there isn't a single thing we can fix on a computer that's going to cost more than an extended warranty, or that's going to cost less, I should say. So you may as well have the warranty, right? Especially because if you don't use it, you get your money back. But if it expires and you don't know it's expired, then you come in with a problem thinking you have a warranty and you don't. That's an uncomfortable conversation in the service center. Well, why didn't you call me? We did call you. We called 14 times. Well, I didn't get the calls. No, they were automated, so you probably didn't. I could see that. We sent an email, but you have Gmail, so it probably went to promotional items. Yeah. What do you do with that when you can't get a hold of people? So, we're collecting cell phone numbers now so we can send SMS messages. We did a test of that for the maintenance sale. We sent some SMS messages. We only got one-star Google review from that. Somebody actually took the time to go leave us a one-star Google review because people don't like getting SMS messages. Ay, caramba. We're just trying. We're trying our best. All right. Number to join us on the program today, 888. We're just trying. We're trying our best. 888-250-2091. All right. Let's jump back into those phones. Carolyn, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This?
Can you hear me?
I can sure hear you, Carolyn.
Okay. You were talking about having the right number for Office.
Yep.
And I tried to do what that gentleman you told him to do, to just open open one of the programs, but it doesn't tell you
Okay.
what number. Okay, but even if beyond that, can you buy another? How do you buy another program?
Great question. So there's a few different ways you can do it. You can go online to Microsoft.com and you can buy Office 365. Now, Office 365 is a subscription, so you're going to pay like $100 a year. Or that's what it is right now. It could go up. Who knows? But you pay a fixed amount every year, and you always have the most recent version of Office. So if there's a new version that comes out, you get the new version. You have a subscription. Or you can call us in the service center and you can purchase a standalone copy. Now, the standalone copy is usually preferred by most of our customers because you pay for it one time and it's good for 5 years, but it costs less than $500. Whereas if you get Microsoft 365 and you pay for it annually, you're going to spend $500 over 5 years. But you actually spend less money over time with the standalone version, so it's usually more popular. But it does require you to put a couple $100 more up front because you're front loading all the purchase for the entire 5 years of the software. But it's something we can definitely, we don't even have to bring the computer in. We can upgrade you over the Schrock desk.
How many licenses do you get when you buy it that way now?
Uno, one. That's all you ever got.
Oh, okay. So it's not like I used to be able to put it on 3 computers. You can't do that anymore.
You never could before. The license said you could use it on one computer. Now, there's what you could do and what you should do. So you could put it on 3 computers because Microsoft had a fault tolerance. Like maybe you bought a new computer. We don't want to give you a hard time about installing it. But you could put it on 3. It would work, but you would never had a license to do that. And now it's enforceable because it's all online. So they will enforce it to 1 copy. Thanks for the call, Carolyn. I appreciate it. If you're interested in getting Office, you can give us a call in any of the service centers. All of them but Des Moines are open today from noon to 5. Saturday, they're open from 10 to 8. Of course, every other day of the week, 10 to 8 as well. We're going to draw a winner of the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Today's winner is Steve. Congratulations. You've got yourself $25. Marissa will get that taken care of for you here on Monday. If you have an Android phone, there is a security update that you need to get. It's a major security update. So if your phone, that your carrier will push this update to you, your phone will pop up and say there's a software update. It plugs tons of vulnerabilities. Be sure you install that Android update when it comes out. Stay tuned. We're going to do the Aftershock coming up next here at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. We'll see you all next weekend for another edition of Compute This.
From the Amish Furniture of Nebraska studio, your home for made in the USA furniture. This